Before we begin, if you like stories that history forgot, subscribe to the Lost Chapters. We bring the past to life, one hidden story at a time.
When General Friedrich Paulus radioed Berlin on January 30, 1943, he wasn't calling in for reinforcements. He was calling to say goodbye. After months of brutal fighting, starvation, and Soviet encirclement, the mighty German Sixth Army was trapped in a frozen hell. Hitler had made it clear, surrender was not an option. You must fight to the last man, he ordered. No retreat, no surrender. But what do you do when your men are dying of frostbite, eating horse meat and wallpaper paste just to stay alive? What do you do when the enemy outnumbers you 10 to 1? On January 31st, Friedrich Paulus did something no German Field Marshal had ever done before. He surrendered. This is not just a story of defeat. This is the story of how a once loyal Nazi general became one of the Soviet Union's most powerful propaganda weapons, a man who would stand in front of the world and condemn the very regime he once served. What turned Paulus from war hero to traitor? Was it conscience, survival, or something far more strategic? Friedrich Paulus didn't come from the classic Prussian military elite. Born in 1890 in a modest German family, he was quiet, meticulous, and obsessed with structure. He wasn't a battlefield lion, but a chessboard tactician. By 1942, he had risen to command the Sixth Army, Hitler's favorite fighting force. Their mission? To break the Soviet Union by capturing the symbolic and strategic city of Stalingrad. At first, it worked. German troops pushed deep into the city, street by street, house by house. It was brutal urban warfare, grenades in sewers, flamethrowers in factories. Victory seemed inevitable. But then, winter came. And with it, the Soviets launched Operation Uranus, a massive encircling maneuver that trapped over 250,000 Axis troops. Paulus radioed Berlin, "We are encircled." Hitler's response? Promote him to Field Marshal, a title never before given to a general in a losing position. Why? Because no field marshal had ever surrendered in German history. It was a twisted message. You know what you must do. January 31st, 1943. Soviet troops stormed the makeshift HQ in a bombed-out basement of Stalingrad. There, they find Paulus, silent, gaunt, unarmed. He does not resist. He does not fight. He simply says, "I have no intention of shooting myself for that Austrian corporal." The war had changed him. In Berlin, Hitler erupts in fury. He calls Paulus a coward, a traitor to the fatherland. Nazi propaganda denies the surrender, pretending the Sixth Army still fights on. But the Soviets aren't hiding anything. In fact, they put Paulus on display. For months, he's kept isolated interrogated, fed, observed, and then something strange happens. He starts talking. At first, it's subtle. He criticizes Hitler's strategic blunders. He expresses sympathy for his starving men. Then he goes further. In 1944, Paulus publicly joins the National Committee for a Free Germany, an anti-Nazi organization made up of German POWs. The Soviets have done the unthinkable. They've turned a Nazi field marshal into a Soviet mouthpiece. The Soviets knew exactly what they had. Paulus was no ordinary prisoner. He was a symbol, a man who could destroy Nazi morale from within. Radio broadcasts soon went out across Europe. A calm German voice filled with authority, condemning the war, calling on Wehrmacht officers to surrender. Germany's destruction is assured, Paulus declared. It is no longer a war of defense, but a war of madness. For the Allies, it was priceless. For the Nazis, it was treason. But what motivated him? Some say he was broken, mentally and physically shattered by the horrors of Stalingrad. Others say he was playing a long game, hoping to survive, to secure leniency for his soldiers. Whatever the case, his voice carried weight. And in the battle for hearts and minds, that made him a weapon more dangerous than any tank. After the war, the world demanded justice. The Nuremberg trials began in 1945, putting Nazi leaders on trial for crimes against humanity. And who did the Soviets bring to testify? Friedrich Paulus. He took the stand to testify against his former comrades, Wilhelm Keitel, Alfred Jodl, and others. His appearance was a political earthquake. He described in detail Hitler's obsession with victory at all costs. He confirmed the systematic nature of the war crimes, and he delivered it all with cold, factual clarity. The man who once led German forces into Russia now sat under Soviet protection, condemning those very decisions. Western observers were stunned. The Nazi high command was enraged. But for many, this wasn't redemption. It was a complicated act of survival, wrapped in politics, shame, and pragmatism. After Nuremberg, Paulus wasn't executed. He wasn't even imprisoned. He was sent to Dresden in Soviet-occupied East Germany. There he lived a quiet life under KGB surveillance. No power, no position, just the ghost of what he once was. He refused to return to West Germany, likely knowing he'd be tried as a traitor. Instead, he wrote memoirs, gave occasional interviews, and kept mostly to himself. He died in 1957 from a long illness. No fanfare, no funeral with honors, just silence. But to some, his story was far from over. Was Paulus a coward, a realist, a man who outplayed fate? Or was he simply a soldier who realized too late that he was on the wrong side of history? History doesn't quite know what to do with Friedrich Paulus. To the Nazis, he was a traitor. To the Soviets, a useful puppet, to the historians, a paradox. His surrender changed the course of World War II. His testimony helped convict the architects of genocide, and yet his actions were driven not by morality, but survival. In the end, Friedrich Paulus may not have been a hero, but he was a mirror, reflecting the madness of a regime that demanded loyalty unto death. A man who defied the myth of invincibility by choosing to live. Some stories don't fit cleanly into good or evil. They live in the shadows, forgotten, twisted, lost. Until now. This was another chapter from history you were never meant to hear.
If this story surprised you, there are many more like it. Subscribe to the lost chapters and never look at history the same way again.